We've seen the scrap supply of silver consistently increase, but when will we see take a reverse turn? We asked Rohit Savant, a speaker here at the IPMI conference in San Antonio. Rohit, thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Rohit, there was a really good question from the audience regarding scrap supply of silver and how it's been continuously rising. And the question was, will we see a day when, that will end and we'll start to see a decline in scrap coming back into the market?
The way to look at old scrap is basically to divide it. You have a certain amount of old scrap coming from industrial uses, which is really the larger component of old scrap. That component is not expected to decline. That is relatively less sensitive to prices. That's got more to do with just the whole process of as electronics or other users reach the end of life, they send it back, recycle it, and use it again. So that component is more likely to increase as you see an increase in demand for these end users. The component that you would see a decline in is the old scrap coming out from like jewelry and retail investors who might be trying to maximize or capitalize on the recent spike that we saw in prices. So it's really that portion which you might see shrinking going forward. A lot of people sold out and got out of their metal when they saw prices increase the way they did in the last few months. So that definitely would weigh on that component of old scrap.
But how much of an impact does scrap supply really have on the price?
Scrap can have an impact on prices. It accounts for about a third of total supply, so it's not a small portion. So it can weigh on prices, but there are other components which do have a larger effect, like investment demand.
What's CPM Group's forecast for silver this year?
We expect silver prices to average on an annual basis at about $34. For the first 6 months, or rather till the end of last week, the annual average has been about $35. So we expect some weakness going into the next few months. And basically that's what will pull the annual average down. Going forward into 2012, we think that silver prices would probably average about $30, and we think that there will be a continuing decline in annual average prices. That said, we do think that prices will remain well above levels that we've seen historically.
And are there any certain areas that we should be paying attention to when we're speaking about silver?
I guess the most important and one of the factors that plays a huge influence on prices is investment demand. And I brought it up in the presentation. A lot of metal is now with exchange traded funds, and just the ease with which they can get in and out of these products is concerning, because if you think about it, since the beginning of May, you saw like the substantial decline in holdings, and that can have a tremendous impact on prices. So that is definitely something to look out for. And then you have the PV market, which on the fabrication demand side is an important growing source. You've seen a sharp increase in 2010. We don't expect a similar increase in the next few years, but we do think that this is definitely going to be a growing source of demand, which will account for a larger portion of total fab demand.
Rohit, thank you so much for your thoughts today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to Kitco.com for more coverage from the IPMI conference. For Kitco News, this is Daniela Cambone, San Antonio.